Hey guys, welcome. Very excited. I've got two powerhouse ladies, as my friend Shan said. So anyway, a lot of you guys met Helen a couple of weeks ago. World Cup soccer player, Canadian Soccer Hall of Fame, and holds a record that'll never be broken because she's the first
Right.
Canadian to score a goal in the history for the men's and world's team. And then Jamie Soleil, another powerhouse. Yeah, there she is. Olympic gold medalist in figure skating and did a lot of life coaching because as we were just chatting, that's what the people like these ladies that are the best in the world at what they do. They obviously had to have some idea of how this all worked and how powerful the mind is and the divinity in man. And I think you'll really be encouraged by what they have to say. So I appreciate you ladies jumping on. And I said, we'll just see where this goes. And so,
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
yeah, I really appreciate it. And so, anything you want to just share on that? Like, obviously, how powerful the mind was and the vision in your journeys.
Do you want me to go, Helen?
Yeah. We met Helen a couple of weeks ago, so that'd be
I know
great.
my story's already been shared.
Okay. Well, we were just actually talking about being when we were children, and Theo Fleury and I, who I work with through Canadians for Truth, him and I did an interview yesterday, and we talked a lot about our childhood and how we always spoke very impeccably about what we wanted, because as a child, you don't really know that you're a manifester. we
Right.
don't we don't realize how powerful we truly are. But as children, him and I, because we share a lot of commonalities, but we also work together now, so we're trying to help humanity through this awakening. And what we both did, and I'm sure Helen did too, was we used to tell people, we're going to go there, I'm going to go to the Olympics, I'm going to make the the NHL, and I'm going to win a Stanley Cup championship. Like, we used to talk like that as children, and people would laugh at us, and or even just try to diminish that and say, yeah, okay, good luck, you know how hard it is to get there. And we were just like, well, watch me. And that was sort of that attitude that I always had. And I didn't get it from my parents telling me to be this way. If anything, my parents actually separated when I was 10. And so I ended up just really living with my mom, who had depression, suffered very severe depression, so cried a lot, cried herself to sleep a lot. And I didn't have that. So she was very positive with me as a child, but she wasn't there in the sense that I needed her emotionally to be there for me, right? So, and that's okay, because there was a gift in that for me as well. It actually made me stronger, right? Because I had to develop other skills. So I think that it starts as a child. And when your children are saying to you, I am, those are two power words right
Yes.
there. I am going to be this, or I am going to do this. Believe them,
Yep.
and do not tell them that they cannot do this, or they can't have that, or they can't be this. Believe them and nurture that. And you know what? It's going to be a bumpy ride. It's going to be messy. It's going to be a little ugly sometimes. I mean, Helen and I both almost quit our sports because people stopped believing in us too. And we had lots of failure. But I think just the fact that I had a goal that I was going for, and nothing was going to stop me. If anything, people going against what I really wanted in life, which was to be an Olympic athlete, it motivated me even more to show them, to prove to them. Now, I'm not saying that all children are going to be like this. I'm just saying, if your child is one that speaks like this, when I say impeccably, it's not like, I hope this happens, or I would really like this to. It's I am. And that's how I spoke. It's believe them when they say that. And then when other parents come up to me and say, well, Jamie, can you come and talk to my daughter or my son? They're really unmotivated in their sport. Don't get me wrong when I say this, because we all go through slumps and we need to be helped out of those slumps. But I never needed somebody to give me a pep talk to motivate me to be a champion. Yes, I had struggles. Yes, I needed a good day sometimes just to perk me back up. But nobody had to sit and talk me into wanting to be a champion, right? So if your child is needing to be constantly talked to, and you're finding yourself that's what I find a lot of parents, it's their dream and not the child's dream, right? So they're always putting them in things that they don't want to do, or that they don't want to learn, or they don't want to be a part of. Listen to your children, because children are incredibly enlightened. it's us as parents that sort of suppress things and we tell them they can't or whatever. And it could even be a financial thing too. But anyway, I'm going off on maybe a bit of a tangent here,
Oh,
but
this is you're speaking our language, right, Helen?
Yeah, I'll expand on that too. I think when Jamie says like listen to them, I look at my childhood and I think, I remember my parents putting me into piano and I just hated it. I really didn't enjoy it. And they wouldn't listen to me when I would say, I don't want to do this anymore. They actually kept investing more in it. But as soon as and I think that's when you align with what works for you. So as soon as I got on the soccer field, I will tell you, I couldn't wait to get back on. I just was, when you're in love with what you're doing, that's, I think, when you align with what you're in love with. When you say you didn't have to be motivated, I was the same. Like when I found soccer, I mean, if I sat at the top of the stairs waiting for my dad to eat dinner every single night saying, when are we going to train? When are we going to train? And contradict that with when I played piano and I hated it and they had to fight with me to get to train. I do think your kids know what they love. And I think at the end of the day, Mike, my talk on TEDx is called Destination Happy.
Yep.
And the reason I called it that is because I really truly feel like you're always just following your happy. And that goes for kids are the most clear on what makes them happy. Yep. And like you say, Jamie, it's like my parents really wanted me to be a piano player, not me. They did. And I really wanted to be a soccer player. And that's when, I had my mom saying to me nonstop, oh, what are you going to do with soccer? When are you going to learn to cook and clean and be a good housewife? And that's what I used to hear from my mom. But I was so aligned. I knew I was doing what I loved. Mm-hmm. And if I look back on my life and I would impart anything on anybody, that whole destination happy, like I really think life is simple. It really is following what you love and what makes you happy. And that's it.
And children are the best at it because we all come here with this incredible intuitiveness, right? We are all intuitive. And the children tap into that all the time. They know, they have a strong knowingness. It's just that as we get older, because of all the garbage that we've seen on TV and the people that we've listened to and negative influences around us, that it's sort of been suppressed and we don't trust it as much. But children are very honest. They're very real and they know. And, and like you said, Helen, you and I were athletes. I have a child that's more into arts and crafts. Like she's very athletic, but she loves to create and draw. And like, she's just, so I'm like harnessing that, right? You want to make sure that each child is going to be different. You're not going to create NHLers and Olympic champions and soccer champions and baseball champions. You're not going to make all athletes in your family necessarily, right? So, yeah, I just think children, we can learn from them.
I think that's powerful because my own journey is very similar. And the fact that my mother was a national champion trumpet player and music teacher. And so you will do music, like you were saying, Helen. I was like, all right, then I'm going to play drums and just beat on these things because she'll get tired of it. But ironically, she let me go through it. But that wasn't the dream. It was business. And, from a little kid, I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I remember sitting in my car and my mom asked me, what do you want to do? I was 5, I think. So I'm going to be a millionaire. And we grew up very poor and modest means. And what's in there. Mm-hmm. And so I think what you were saying, Jamie, is all my kids are really artistic too, even though Barb and I were athletic and different things. And so one of the things that we told him, like you were saying, is he's really a world-class painter. And like you're saying, I don't need to, Helen, you're sitting at the top of the stairs waiting for your dad. And I'm sure you were the same way, Jamie. He's down in his room, his studio, 8 hours a day painting. I don't need to help him. We call him Bear. His name's Samuel, but we call him Bear. And so I was like, you need to eat, bud. Like, you need to come out of there. They're just passionate about it. And so we just said, hey, what do you want to be? And we used the example of Picasso. His mother, the story was, hey, if you're going to be a general, you're going to be Napoleon. If you're going to be whatever, you're going to be this. And he goes, so I chose to become a painter and became Picasso.
There you go.
You'd be the best in the world at what I do. And so he's signing his prints Samuel. I said, be a Samuel. So I love that stuff because I really believe, like you said, Jamie, is we come out divine, and we have to be taught that we're not.
Yes. And I see it all the time. I see parents without even realizing it, putting limitations on their children, and they don't mean to.
Right.
It's the languaging, right?
Yeah.
That's why I say to my kids, because I'll hear them say things like, oh, I'm really not good at this. And I said, change that wording, even right there. Just say you're learning right now. You're learning how to do this. I'm learning. It's not that you can't do it or you're not good at it. It's that you're learning, right? Just simple things like that. Like that. That is one thing that I learned along the way in my career, was that the way you speak is super important. And I know that we also know that our language is spells, but
Yeah.
how it's our intention, right? It's my intention is that when I change my wording to more positive wording, that's to benefit myself and to take me where I want to be. Right.
Yeah. So, I'd be curious to hear from both of you if you consciously did it, or if you looked back and before you competed in figure skating or a match, Helen, did you consciously go through visualizing yourself having success? Maybe share some of that.
You want me to go again?
Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, sure.
So I think for me, it started again when I was watching the 88 Olympics in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I remember just watching it, and literally I could see myself there. And I didn't realize I was doing it. That's the crazy part, like crazy good, right? Was that I could see myself being there, and I could feel the emotions of it. And I was excited all the time. I'm like, I can't wait to be there one day. And just again, speaking that language. But I will tell you, one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had, and this is where I told all my clients when I was working and coaching, was the power of visualization. It's not all of it, but it is a lot of it. So I was already prepared physically for the Olympics. But what I did the whole year leading up to the Olympics was I literally intentionally sat and visualized myself and David, my partner, being on the top, not just at the Olympics, but actually being on the top of the podium, getting our medal put around our necks, hearing the crowd. I could smell the popcorn. I mean, I could feel my medal in my hand, and then I could see our flag coming down in the middle and singing "O Canada." And then when I would be done, I'd have tears coming down my face. So I was 5 sensorizing my dream, okay? Leading up to the Olympics, all 5 of my senses were heightened. And it was really powerful. And it was very intentional. However, when I was younger, it wasn't as intentional. I was just doing it because I think my brain just went there. I wanted to like be that, right? But as an Olympic athlete in 2002, your Olympics, by the way, right?
Barb and I remember watching you for sure.
The whole year. That's all I did after I got off the ice. I would go home and visualize, and it didn't take me long. It's 15 minutes a day maybe, and then because of that, I think I just always saw myself, like throughout the day, you can't even help it, but you see yourself performing with your eyes open.
So
it's pretty wild. But so then there I was a year later. Now the first night, as the people that know the story, is the first night of our long program performance, we weren't first, we were second. 6 days later, they revealed, through the 6 days after, they revealed a controversy in our event, in ice skating, period. And so we ended up getting a co-gold medal. So the way that it was presented to us was completely different. It wasn't expected at all. Nobody could have scripted this. I mean, it was just mind-blowing. But what happened out of that whole experience was actually, it was better than what we even went there to do, right? Was to come home with a gold medal. We became household names in the US and around the world.
Yeah.
We ended up signing really incredible endorsement deals. And so our professional career after that was incredibly lucrative, right? So it actually turned out even better for us. In the backs of the other guys, not our team, not the Russians, but the judges all cheating. Like, come on, you guys, right? So, you know what mattered though was that I could see us being on that podium and winning and crying and being so happy, and I could see it, and then it ended up being even better.
And I know, Helen, you know what, Dries, from the TED Talks and our talk earlier, like, as a man thinketh, the same thing, right? You had to have done this to at your level. So anything you want to share on that?
I'll say the same as Jamie is. I don't know if we were never educated in the power of mind and the power of visualization. So I find it amazing that I look back on my career and I was so young and I was so driven, and I'm like, I don't know how I knew to do what I did. That just tells you, I think, intrinsically, we are naturally inclined to live in our joy and in our love and in our happiness. And I think the best example I have is, and I don't even know where this came from, but I'm like, you know, this story. There was one time I was watching Soccer Saturday, and I remember watching a play, and I was going to play in an all-star game that afternoon. And I watched this play where a player went around the defender, the goalkeeper came out at a certain angle and scored a goal on the near post. Kind of an awkward kind of way they scored, but it was beautiful. And I literally sat watching that goal, and I just said, I'm going to score that exact same goal today. And whatever happened in the universe, I'm not even exaggerating. The exact same play came in front of me. The defender came at me the same way. The goalkeeper came at me the same way. I curved the ball into the near post. I remember it so clearly, but I don't know where I got that insight to believe and to see what I saw. And I always wonder, like, if we would have been a little bit more educated on the power of mind, if this was part of our training as we went into, you know, camps and whatnot and tournaments, how much more advanced we would have been than what we were. Because we were just, I mean, if you know, Jamie and I were just instinctually doing what we did, almost like it was just part of who we were, not knowing that we were actually manifesting and creating. And it wasn't until like the book that I read that I actually started to understand and realize that we are creators and we have the power, and, you know, it's all in here, and we can do anything. And I actually, you know, people say, can you really do anything? Well, I remember being you know, living at my parents and being really young. And one day I was just sitting at their house. My sister was an artist, and she left some Fimo, which is clay to sculpt. I've never sculpted in my life, but something came over me. I saw this clay, I saw a doll, and I said, I'm going to sculpt that exact face right now. And I literally, in 2 hours, I'd sculpted this unbelievable face out of nowhere, but I just knew I could do it. Have I done it since? No, I think it kind of freaked me out a little bit because I was like, holy crap, I did it. And I again, you know, when you think, can you do anything? I actually think we pretty much can do anything once you get into that zone of knowing and believing. I think we have so much power, more than I think we realize. And I think as we're evolving, we're going to see that manifesting is going to become a lot faster and simpler, because I think we're going to realize just how powerful we are in creation.
I love that because I'm, you know, we listen to a lot of the same different people about manifesting and the power of, call it what you want. I would call it the power of God within man, the ability to create. And it's interesting because I was reading, you ladies probably remember this. It was Charles Garfield. He was a sports psychologist, and in 1985 he wrote Peak Performance. But basically he was talking about how he said the people, what did he say? He actually quotes, he says, he was talking about Olympic athletes, and he says, the athletes who picture themselves crossing the finish line first are more likely to do it. Exactly what you said, Jamie. You saw yourself, and you, Helen, you knew you were going to bend that goal exactly the same way. And I think if I could do anything to encourage people, is you can turn anything in your life around simply by changing your focus, because the power to visualize is and to sensualize, like Jamie was saying, all the five senses, where you smell it and you taste it and you feel it and you feel the emotion rise up. And ladies like you that are best in the world at what they do athletically, when you see somebody do it, their muscles will twitch the exact same way, even though they're sitting in a chair or in a meditative place. Your muscles are twitching. And what I think is so fascinating, your frontal lobe is the exact same thing. It's rehearsing exactly what you're going to do, even when you're just sitting in a chair. And so I would just encourage everybody listening to this, is whether it's financial, whether it's relational, whether it's health-wise. You know, Helen, you've known so many times, we've helped so many people, whether it's stage 4 cancer, whatever, when they change their focus, the intuitiveness of the body and the manifestation of the body that God's given us heals itself. It creates. It's so fascinating. So anything you want to share on a closing part to people, just to encourage them how powerful they are, would be great.
I just think that what you just said is also bang on, because wherever you place your focus is what you're putting your attention into, right? You're putting all the energy into that. So if people are constantly focused on lack and failure and mistakes, I call them must takes, you have to, right? Then that's where you're going to go, right? So remind your children as well that, you know what, we're going to fail. Helen and I both had more failures or times that we didn't compete well, or we missed a goal, or I fell, or I came 10th. We had way more of those than we had successes, right? But we had to go through all of that to get to the top. And it's the ones that don't quit. Like, that is the other thing that people often say to me, oh, you were the best in the world. I wasn't the best ice skater in the world or pairs figure skater in the world. I was one of them that didn't quit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talented. I had the body for it, clearly had the mind for it, but I just didn't quit. And I didn't quit because I was mentally tough. And like Helen said, what's so incredible about the fact that we weren't like trained in this, like, I mean, we had some, Skate Canada would have some kind of workshops for us sometimes when we'd learn about specific things. We'd have speakers come in and talk about that kind of stuff, but we never had like sessions where they sat us down and said, we're going to learn how to visualize now. No. But, you know, we knew that visualizing was a huge part of it, obviously. But part of my journey too was that it was survival for me, Mike. It was, you know, a lot of children, I know in the US, even ice skaters don't grow up with money.
Yeah.
Successful athletes don't grow up with a lot of money. Their parents struggle to get them through it, if not even single parents, right?
Yep.
I mean, the stories I've heard that have come out of US ice skating is like, whoa, we think, you know, some of us have had it rough here. But it was survival for me because my mom was depressed. I didn't really have a dad in my life. I didn't see my brother all that often. I was bullied at school because I was short and had crappy haircut and well, whatever. I don't know. My aunt was a hairdresser and she thought it was fun for me to be the guinea pig. And then I didn't have fashionable clothes. Like, I didn't have the brand names because my mom said, well, it's brand names clothing or skating.
Yeah.
So I was made fun of a lot. So skating was my outlet. It was where I went to be happy, Helen.
Yeah.
And where I felt like I was free and I could express myself, right? So that really put that fire in my belly to really, really want to succeed even more. So it's almost like children, they find what they love, but then something is going to spark them, whether, you know, and it shouldn't be all these other people that have to inspire them or motivate, right? It shouldn't. Like, Dave and I skated in Montreal and we were never skating with the top athletes of the world because people go, oh, you got to train with all the best athletes in the world. Do you? Right? We didn't.
Yeah.
We were the best always when we were training, but because we didn't rely on the Russians and the Chinese, who were also amazing, or other teams around the world, to motivate us. It came from within. And it's, what do I need to do to be the best in the world? Right? So it's a journey. It's an incredible journey. I mean, we could probably write another whole book on this, and because every athlete's going to be a bit different, but I would be curious to know if a lot of athletes, what I just said resonates with them, right? That maybe they were bullied or they went through stuff and people quit on them and they told them they would never make it, and that just fired them up to go, I'll show you.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think, you know, what's interesting is, as we're sitting here talking, just thinking, see, my core belief is both of you said we didn't grow up being trained in this. We naturally did it. I think all kids naturally do it.
Yeah.
And they have to be untrained to believe that you're not good enough. You can't have this. You can't be that. Oh, be realistic.
Realistic.
Yeah. How's that? Right.
Being told you're going to go to the Olympics one day and people go, yeah, right. Like, there you go. Right?
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Okay.
So I think finding yourself, for people listening to this, is it's right where you're at. You've always had it. And it's really undoing the I am nots.
Yeah. Yes. The I am nots.
Yeah. Those don't count, guys. That's not true. That's you're so divine. I was listening to Rhonda Burns of the Greatest Secret and the Secret, and she said, the mind's the most powerful tool we have. It'll literally create whatever you put there. It's understanding the power you have over your life. You're not a victim. You have complete control by what you picture. So good.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because I'll take this even out of sport. I just before COVID, we were supposed to launch a really big sporting event called the Good Games, which is basically it's Canada's biggest games for over 30 athletes, multi-sport games. And last year was kind of the first year we were going to launch the a smaller event just because of the way COVID happened. But I remember I literally drove to that park every day where it was being hosted, the whole of park, massive park. We were going to put all the sports on it, big festival. And I literally sat in the park every morning and I just would look at it and I would picture what it was going to be like for the weekend that we were hosting. And if you go on my site and you see the video we posted of the games after, we had 15,000 people attend. We had
Awesome.
6 sports that we hosted. And it was literally, I remember talking to one of the volleyball players, and she was like, wow, did you think it would be like this? And I said, actually, this is exactly what I saw.
So
I
awesome.
saw this exactly the way you're seeing it right now. I saw the weather, I saw it hot, I saw it sunny, I saw the sports being played, I saw the festival, and literally I just kept picturing it day after day. And I would just sit in the park and I would just park my car and just sit there for 10 minutes looking at the place and envisioning what it was going to look like. And it was literally ended up being almost exactly what I envisioned.
Amazing.
Well, I appreciate you guys. As you know, Helen, Jamie, this will impact a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we just touched on it, but I'm
Yeah.
grateful that I could be a part of this.
Yeah, it's just know how divine you guys are. You know,
Wow.
if it was this important to these ladies to be some of the best in the world at what they did, this works in your life. Whether you're like
Yeah.
Jamie was saying, a single mom. I came from a very similar background, which I have a heart for single moms and kids, and we have a whole nonprofit for that actually, for exactly what you're talking about. Where if they needed,
Yeah.
my kid needs this, she needs soccer shoes or whatever it is, so she needs to go to camp. So we actually do some things like that called Inspire 100. But anyway, if you're ever in Colorado, you're always welcome. We'll have a glass of wine on our deck.
Love Colorado. That was our favorite Grand Prix. Colorado
Yeah.
Springs.
Well, I don't know if you ski, but we have really good skiing here.
Yeah.
And,
Yes. Okay. Well, I will take you up on that one day next
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are the best.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everyone.
you.
Bye.